Well, good afternoon, Michiganders. It is Tuesday, January 11th, 2021, and this, of course, is Tuesday with Tom, Michigan's only weekly internet show where we do answer your questions about estate planning and estate settlement in Michigan, and we don't send you a bill. I'm your host, Tom Doyle, estate planning attorney, lifelong Michigan resident, and ambassador for all things good in this great state of Michigan. Welcome to today's program. Well, if you haven't gone to the Tuesday with Tom website recently, I suggest that you go because we've now added a search feature. And with the search feature, you can now search the 200 plus articles or podcasts, if you will, that we've had about estate planning and estate settlement. So simply head on over to Tuesday with Tom, the website, tuesdaywithtom.com, and use the search feature to find a podcast on a topic that might be of interest to you, whether it's what's a living trust or what's a will or how do I avoid probate or do I need a living trust, do I need an irrevocable trust, etc. Simply head on over and you will be able to search the website now. Well, last week's episode, what happens if you don't get a deed when you pay off your land contract? Well, I discussed the fact that failing to get a deed from the seller when you pay off your land contract not only can result in many headaches for you, but possible legal expenses as well. So if you've got a land contract and it's been paid off, make sure that you've got the deed. And if you haven't, listen to last week's episode. Today, well, right around the corner, we have a new administration coming around on January 20th. Finally, it appears that that's going to be happening, despite a lot of things that's being said in Washington. So with the new administration, today's topic is to watch for these two potential estate tax changes under the new administration. But please remember, what I'm about to discuss during the program is, as always, for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be legal advice. As always, you need to work with your attorney and your tax advisor and your financial advisors to determine what is appropriate for you and your estate and financial plan. So watch for these two potential estate tax changes under the new administration. As you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in at noon on January 20th. Well, new administrations oftentimes mean new tax changes, and there are two significant changes to federal estate taxes that we might see perhaps even within the first year of the new Biden-Harris administration. First is the likely reduction of the lifetime exemption from federal estate taxes. If you listen to previous episodes of this program, or perhaps you just understand this already from research or information you've already had, currently there is an approximately $11 million lifetime exemption for federal estate taxes. Now, that gets adjusted annually for inflation, but what does that mean? That means if you die in 2021 and your estate is not more than $11 million, you would not owe any federal estate taxes. That exemption is set to sunset, i.e. expire, in 2025. What does that mean? That means if nothing gets changed under the current law, in 2025, the amount will return to $5 million. Now, there will be an inflation adjustment, but essentially we'll be going from a currently in the neighborhood of $11.7 million to $5 million. And the question has been for quite some time, what's going to happen between now and 2025? And for a number of years now, we have been of the opinion that by the time 2025 rolls around, Congress will likely change that federal estate tax lifetime exemption. Well, under the new administration, from what we're hearing about the new administration, and certainly what we're looking at because of the amount of additional expenditures that's being incurred by the government because of the COVID pandemic, many people are now expecting that the new Biden administration will not only have the lifetime exemption go down to $5 million, but in fact, possibly lower than that, maybe in the neighborhood of $3.5 million per individual. So we could be going from an approximate $11.7 million down to $3.5 million. Well, because more estates are worth $3.5 million than $11.7 million, certainly reducing the lifetime exemption amount can or will, not can, but will in fact affect many estates that don't currently have an estate tax. So if that is one of the changes that gets made to federal estate taxes and your estate is now in the neighborhood of that reduced amount, we're going to have a conversation, or you're going to have a conversation with your attorney and tax advisor about what options you might have relative to your estate plan. Now, the second possible change would be an elimination of the stepped-up basis for capital gains at death. And what does that mean? Well, currently, when you die, somebody that inherits your estate gets a stepped-up basis on any capital assets, such as investments, stocks and bonds, real estate, etc. That means their value for capital gains purposes is stepped up to whatever the value of that asset was on the date of your death. And let me just use a quick example. Let's say you bought Google stock. And I'm just picking a number out of the air. You bought Google stock for $200 a share. Now that Google stock, let's say, is worth $2,000 a share. Well, if you sold the stock during your lifetime, you would have a potential capital gains. The difference between $200 and $2,000 is going to be taxed as a capital gain. If you die under the current law and your heirs inherit that stock, their basis, because of stepped up basis for capital gains, is $2,000. So if they turned around and sold the stock, there would be no capital gains. So that's why many times when Amanda and I are talking to clients, we're talking about the fact that if you have significantly appreciated capital assets that are going to go to your children, generally under the tax law currently, because of stepped up basis, your children are better off inheriting the asset than having you give them the asset during your lifetime. Well, the change that will be very likely enacted will be to get rid of stepped-up basis for capital gains. And what does that mean? Now, you're simply going to be passing on the capital gains tax to your heirs. So in that example, where your heir currently would have a $2,000 basis in the Google stock because of stepped-up basis, their basis is now likely going to be what your basis was. So when they sell it, they're going to be paying the capital gains. Now, perhaps one share of Google stock doesn't really matter, but think about a house that's gone up significantly in value during your lifetime, and now that house is going to be passed on to your children. Well, under stepped-up basis, we don't worry about capital gains, the gain that would have been incurred based upon the sale of the house. But if the Biden administration eliminates stepped-up basis, including on a home that your children might inherit, there can now be a significant capital gains tax incurred by your children or your heirs when they turn around and sell that house. But there's more. Not only is it likely that they're going to look at eliminating stepped-up basis for capital gains? But the other part of the Biden proposal is to reduce or increase, if you will, the long-term capital gains rate. So not only will your heirs have a capital gains tax if we eliminate stepped-up basis, but they're proposing to increase the rate of the long-term capital gains tax that's currently in effect. Now, obviously, increasing the long-term capital gains tax that's in effect could affect you if you sell the asset, because you might now be subject to a larger capital gains yourself, but it's also going to impact those heirs when they turn around and sell an asset that they inherited from you. In all probability, elimination of the stepped-up basis, coupled with the increase in the long-term capital gains rate, is likely going to affect more estates than would reducing the lifetime federal estate tax exemption, because there are a lot of estates out there that aren't going to rise to that $3.5 million total, but still would have significant capital gains built up in the assets as part of the estate. And now that the Democratic Party controls both the House and the Senate, it's very likely that some tax reforms are going to be made. Again, there are significant issues because of COVID-19 and the economic relief that's being provided. And so it's likely that something's going to happen. Now, the belief, at least this point, is that changes to the current tax structure would not likely occur until the end of 2021. Normally, those things don't occur in the middle of a year. It's usually January 1st when those tax changes will take place. So if it doesn't occur towards the end of 2021, it likely would then not go into effect until 2022. What does that mean? That means during this year of 2021, we're going to have to keep an eye on what does in fact happen with the potential changes in the federal estate tax, in eliminating stepped-up basis, in increasing long-term capital gains rates, and based upon those changes and what impact that might have on your estate plan is going to require you to revisit your plan so that you are taking appropriate steps to minimize the taxes that would be incurred at the time of your death. Just a reminder before we end with today's program, too, that Amanda and I, of course, would be honored to have the opportunity to help you protect your loved ones by taking a look at your estate if the federal estate taxes do change, or even if there's not a federal estate tax issue, help you by putting together your estate plan, perhaps amending a plan that you already have, or assist you certainly in settling a loved one's estate. Simply head on over to the virtual office tab at doylelawpc.com. That's where we have options available. If you're prospective clients or if you're current clients, prospective clients, again, we have our planning from home service where you can obtain an estate plan from home without having to leave the home and risk exposure to COVID-19. We'll have a consultation as part of that process, but head on over and take a look at the planning from home. That might be an option for you if you are prospective clients. You can also download from the website a copy of our free estate planning guidebook. Current clients, suggest you head on again over to the virtual office tab, and there you're going to find the Update My Plan service where you can tell us what changes you're looking at making, and we can let you know what it's going to take to implement those particular changes. We've also opened up recently our legal store. Now you can go to DoyleLawPC.com. Let's say you just have an individual document that you need. Maybe you don't have an appointment of funeral representative and you want to have one. Or maybe all you need is a new financial power of attorney. Again, head on over to the legal store and you can order those documents to be prepared for you. Well, so that's it for today's show. As always, if you have a comment about the program, though, or a topic that you'd like to have me discuss, perhaps questions that you'd like to have answered, or maybe you'd like to be a guest on the program if you're in the financial services industry in some way, shape, or form, or have something to do with the funeral industry or any other business that you might think might be of interest to our listening audience, please send me an email, tom@tuesdaywithtom.com, or send me a postcard, Tom Doyle, P.O. Box 16066, Lansing, Michigan, 48901. And as always, we invite you and invite your friends and family. Please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. That would be Tuesday with Tom, and follow Doyle Law at Doyle Law PC on both of those platforms as well. Remember, too, that the Tuesday with Tom app is available in the App Store. So if you want to take the program with you, download the app and you can listen to all the programs. And, of course, we've now expanded the options where you will find Tuesday with Tom. It's not only at the Tuesday with Tom website, but it's available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and many other services. And as always, you can even ask your smart speaker to play Tuesday with Tom. Well, thank you again for spending some of your Tuesday afternoon with us today. I hope that you have an awesome day and an awesome week in Michigan. Stay safe. Tuesday with Tom has been brought to you by the estate planning attorneys at Doyle Law PC. To learn how we can help you with your estate plan or with settling a loved one's estate, please call us today at 517-323-7366. That's 517-323-7366.